Hello, everybody. Welcome to Veteran Uncensored. I'm Chris Rodriguez, your host, of course. We are live with the latest trending stories in the United States of America. A lot to talk about, a lot to react to. So please stay tuned. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Follow us wherever you're listening to. If you're listening or watching on your favorite audio listening platforms like Spotify or Apple Podcasts, we appreciate you. Please give us a rating. Help the podcast get to as many people as we can possibly get to. And yeah, let's grow this community of uncensored opinion. All right, so we got a lot of stuff to talk about. MAGA is divided. It is, whether we like to admit it or not, it is divided, and it's because of the Epstein files. Something that really is not important to the vast majority of people in the United States of America. People are focused on, buying their groceries, they're paying their light bill, their gas bill, feeding their kids. Education, immigration, all of that is the main core, what the vast majority of millions and millions of Americans are focused on. However, there is also a lot of people, basically on social media, podcasters, and people that really, and even American people that are really into that stuff, behind the keyboard, they're always swiping on their phone, looking at TikTok all day. Those people are really involved and want answers no matter what. If they don't get the answers, they're going to lose their minds. But there are other people that are really right now at this point they're trying to go find a job. They're not really that worried about the Epstein files. But I do agree with the base that these files should be released anyway. It doesn't matter who's behind it. I don't think Donald Trump has anything to do with these files at all. At all. He was an acquaintance. I think he may have been in the plane a couple of times, but nothing to do with the horrific crimes and acts of Jeffrey Epstein. So, as far as that's concerned, I don't think Trump is hiding, or not hiding, but he's not publicizing these files because he wants to keep himself safe of scrutiny, or much worse, if something horrific did happen. No, I don't think that's what's going on. I think this has to do, and I'm more of the Tucker Carlson thing, that this has to do with, because that would make sense to hide it from the public, to say there's nothing going on. Or you can believe the theory that simply there's nothing to share, and that they believe that, Trump believed that, and Pam Bundy believed that, and everybody else believed that in the country and in the world. Therefore, they kept talking about it over and over and over. And when they came out and talked and opened up the files, they saw that there was nothing to share. And I think that more than likely is what happened. If something is being hidden, it has to do with Epstein probably being part of the government, or as far as an agent, a secret agent, or whatever you want to call him. I don't know. But do we really need to focus on releasing these files, or else this administration is lying and is the worst? No. By the way, the Democrats had this information as well. They didn't release it, and nobody else was talking about releasing these files. And I don't want to get ahead of myself. There's a lot of things to talk about. We're going to talk about Mandani as well, and Megyn Kelly was having a discussion on this issue. We're going to talk about that in a minute. So stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe. Let's not waste any time. Let's go Riley Gaines. She came out today, and she basically, or yesterday actually, more or less, and had to, she criticized the government, basically, not talking about this or not releasing any information on the Epstein files. Now, Donald Trump said this yesterday when he was taking questions from reporters about the Epstein files. So let's take a listen to Mr. Donald Trump.
Mr. President, I know you want to move past all this intrigue over the Epstein files, but I do want to ask you to clarify something you said this morning. You said this was all a hoax. Has your attorney general told you this was a hoax? What evidence have you seen?
No, it's not the attorney general. No, I know it's a hoax. It's started by Democrats. It's been run by the Democrats for 4 years. You had Christopher Wray and these characters, and Comey before him. And It's a bad group. It started, actually, look at the Steele dossier that turned out to be a total hoax. The 51 agents, the intelligence, so-called intelligence agents, it was a hoax. It's all been a big hoax. It's perpetrated by the Democrats. And some stupid Republicans and foolish Republicans fall into the net. And so they try and do the Democrats' work. The Democrats are good for nothing other than these hoaxes. They're bad for policy. They're bad for picking candidates that can get elected. Like in New York, we have a communist running. He may get elected too, actually, but he'll destroy the city. No, it's I call it the Epstein hoax. It takes a lot of time and effort. Instead of talking about the great achievements, we've had a great gentleman yesterday, as you know, went on CNBC and he made the statement that Trump may go down as the greatest president of all in the United States. And instead of talking about the things we've achieved, we've had tremendous achievement. They're wasting their time with a guy who obviously had some very serious problems, who died 3-4 years ago. I'd rather talk about the success we have with the economy, the best we've ever had, and all of the things we've done, including the Middle East. I mean, you see it. Instead, they want to talk about the Epstein hoax. And the sad part is it's people that are really doing the Democrats' work. They're stupid people. Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. President, there's lots of reports coming in.
Well, here's the deal. I think what Trump should do is, first of all, release all this, and whoever is jeopardized by releasing these files, the complete thing, whether there's a client list or there isn't, there's something that happened here. I mean, so release everything, or tell people how it was a hoax. Don't just say the Democrats did this, because that's an easy answer. Who? Obama? Okay, perfect. Obama. Biden. What did they do? Because he says that it's their fault. They created this hoax. How was it a hoax? Did they make this list up to jeopardize Trump or to jeopardize any other Republican figure or even Democrat figure? What happened? That's what needs to be explained for people to settle this down and release everything else. Because, quite honestly, I personally don't care about this. I do care about, women, and I do care about kids being raped. I that's something that I cannot bear thinking about. But the fact of the matter is, people won't shut up unless you show them the truth. So show them everything. Don't waste any time. Now, Riley Gaines, who's been a really big admirer of Donald Trump throughout his whole campaign, and she is one of the people that I would say did help get him elected. I mean, I don't think there's such a thing as this is a combined thing. I don't think there's such a thing as this person got him elected, like Elon Musk said. Without him, Trump wouldn't have been elected. I don't believe in that. But everybody is a group did help, and of course, Donald Trump, being who he is, helped get himself elected as well. So this is what Riley Gaines posted. Was it stupid? And reacting to what we just heard about Donald Trump, said was it stupid and foolish when he campaigned on releasing the files? Are Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and Dan Bongino, and Alina Habba all foolish and stupid for peddling this for the past 6 months? Why on earth was he doing this? Well, quite honestly, Alina Habba, she went on Piers Morgan and said that it's horrific. That she knew that when the files get released, it was going to be a scandal. And what happened? Did they simply did they lie without knowing the truth, assuming that there were going to be people implicated in horrific things? And I'm sure there were, because Epstein was charged and prosecuted and sentenced because of these acts. But maybe they assumed, you know what you get for assuming, you make an ass out of you and me. So what happened was probably that they assumed something bad it was in there because they believed what everybody was talking about and what they were being told. And then when there was nothing, they looked like bigger fools. They could be as well. They don't want to admit to it, right? Now, obviously, she faced some I'm not going to say warranted, but she faced some backlash, Riley Gaines, for doing this, for coming at Trump, I guess you can say. And listen, I think everybody, I appreciate Riley Gaines coming out and keeping her honesty, her honor, I guess you can say, because she is basically saying, all right, Trump, I voted for Trump. She doesn't regret that, but she's not going to be an idiot either. She's not going to just because Trump says don't talk about it, okay, we're not going to talk about it. I don't think that's how it works, and it shouldn't work that way, to be fair. I think what she did was warranted. I think what she did was legitimate. And here we go. This is another post of her saying this. It's amazing how many people think asking a legitimate, justified question is the same as turning on someone. I proudly voted for Trump twice and have no regret. I also want pedophiles to be held accountable. It's like the least controversial take in the world. And let me tell you this, she's 100% correct. It shouldn't be controversial, to be honest. It shouldn't be. And again, I think this government so far, I think it's a mole in this government. I think it's something there. They got a speck now on the administration. They have a mole there that everybody can look at, but there's a lot of great things going on. And I think that Trump has not been praised enough on the good things that he's been doing for a lot of people, for the American people, obviously, and for the country. But this will be a mole there that everybody looks at and says, well, they handled that one horrifically, in a horrific way. And listen, they could make this better, although the actions are already made. But Trump can say, you know what, you want it so bad, here you go. There's a bunch of nothing. In proof, unedited proof, and files, everything. And by the way, if what's his name, Jeffrey Epstein was working for the government, why you don't have to post that if you don't want to post that, but post the files, the crimes, all of that, post it. You can't do two things if you really and truly, because I've been a service member. I do know there are certain things that you need to be quiet about, certain things that you don't talk about. And listen, if he was part of being some sort of secret agent, the government doesn't have to disclose that. Why? Because he committed crimes? That's on him. That's on the person. I can be a military member. I was a military member. I could have done horrific crimes. It doesn't, all of a sudden, because you become a part of the government, doesn't make you a great human being, an immaculate human being. So I don't understand the shame in that. But if you don't want to let people know that he was a secret agent or he was part of the government for some sort, whatever, then hide it, delete it, don't post that. But post what has to do with the crimes. That's all I think people are right now wanting. Plain and simple. Now, there is a legitimate question to be asked. Did Trump actually campaign on releasing the Epstein files? Did he actually campaigned on that? Is that a lie? Is there a promise that was broken by Mr. Donald Trump? Because people are saying that that's what's happened, that he broke up a promise. Well, let's go to a post by MJ Truth Ultra that gives us the insight on when Trump was talking about it, releasing JFK files, and I think Martin Luther King as well, and everybody else, and he was asked about the Epstein files. Let's take a listen.
Would you declassify JFK files?
Yeah.
I
did a lot of it.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world. But I think I would, or at least...
Do you think that would restore trust? Help restore trust?
Yeah, I don't know about Epstein so much as I do the others. Certainly about the way he died. It would be interesting to find out what happened there, because that was a weird situation, and the cameras didn't happen to be working, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, I'd go a long way toward that one. The other stuff I would definitely do the January 6th, because, beyond all of them. Because what happened, how about the Unselect Committee? They had meetings, they had all Democrats and 2 failed Republicans,
Would you declassify JFK
All right.
files?
So there you go. What do you think about that? He really didn't promise that that's what he was going to do. He didn't. So I think it's a fair point to say that he really wasn't. Quite honestly, I know these questions are morbid questions. People want to know about the files, the conspiracy theories, the P. Diddy list, and all these people. Trump was probably rumored to be on the P. Diddy list. It's not really relevant. And when you do a campaign, let me tell you something. If I'm going to vote for a president, I'm going to vote for whoever can help the needs of the American people, not over a conspiracy theory on how Epstein died or who was in the list. I could care less. And the irregular Joe, the irregular American folk, could care less if Leonardo DiCaprio was flying with Epstein in his private island, or P. Diddy, or Denzel Washington. They don't give a damn. They care about the economy, about security, about immigration. They care about what really matters to the American folks. And that's why Trump won. Trump didn't win or campaigned over the Epstein files. Let's be fair. Let's be honest with each other. We got to be truthful. Let's not lie either. Now, there might be another clip where he offers that he's going to bring everybody surrounding the Epstein files to account, but I have not heard of that. I have not heard of that at all. But the biggest question is, now everybody tends to want to go at Donald Trump. Everybody wants to say, well, Donald Trump, he broke a promise, he this, he that. But if it's about the kids and if it's about the truth being released, why wasn't this uproar when the Democrats were in charge and they had the files? Why wasn't this out? And quite honestly, I don't even remember MAGA members asking for the files to be released, which says a lot, because in today's world, it's easy to say, oh, you lefties, you are corrupt, you are pro-raping kids, and now you are hiding the Epstein files. Come on, release the Epstein files. There may have been one or two or a few, or maybe there were many, but I certainly don't remember them. Enlighten me in the comment section if you can. But I don't remember even MAGA members going at Democrats, the Biden administration, to release the files. I don't remember that. So let us actually go and see a clip that comes from Benny Johnson, about that, a reporter asking the Democrats to release the files. Let's see what happens.
Congressman, you could have gotten that from 21 to 25 when Democrats controlled the DOJ. Why? It was a crisis then. It's a crisis now. Why didn't Democrats call for it from 21 to 25?
So, I mean, you'd have to go back and look specifically at particular prosecutorial decisions and what was taking place in terms of the other cases. So I don't know. We could try to reconstruct that record. But the point is that Donald Trump is the one who has led the crusade to say that that Epstein, who was his very close friend, and there's all kinds of pictures of them.
Congressman, you could have gotten that from 21 to 25 when Democrats controlled the DOJ. Why? It was a crisis then. It's a crisis now. Why didn't Democrats call for it from?
All right, so that's the question. Why? They basically had no answer. So from 2021 to 2025, they had these files, among many other files. They didn't even want to release the John F. Kennedy files. So they didn't want to proceed, and they didn't do anything about it. Interesting. There was no uproar then, because people were focused on debunking the left. The people were concerned at the time about the real issues, because what they were talking about was men, biological men in women's bathrooms. They were talking about the economy. They were talking about immigration. They were talking about all of that we've listed already, and that's why the Republicans won. That's why the Republicans won. And it is the truth, man. You know, I mean, I know we can sugarcoat it all we want to, but at the end of the day, it is the truth. Now, when it comes to what's happening now with the Epstein files, it's something that I probably will never know, but James Comey's daughter, who worked on the Epstein case, fired as federal prosecutor reports. Maureen Comey, who has been fired from her position as a federal prosecutor in Manhattan, according to two people familiar with the matter. This was written on Ground News, of course. The notice of termination did not provide a reason, citing the broad powers of the president under the U.S. Constitution. Didn't provide that's kind of weird. Not to be. I don't think that's even legal. You got to provide a reason as to why you're being fired. A source indicated that Maureen Comey's connection to her father makes her position unattainable in the current administration. And on the bottom says she was a lead prosecutor in the cases against Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, as reported by the Associated Press. So are they saying, because when I was thinking about this, why did this happen, right? And if she was the prosecutor against Epstein, that's why solidified my theory that maybe, just maybe, it was what Trump is saying. It was a hoax. However, they fell miserably for it. They shouldn't have done that. All of the MAGA side, they fell miserably for it. And they said, well, she was part of this. She's the one that instigated this hoax that made everybody believe there was this long list of people and all these heinous crimes by all these celebrities and all these notable people. And it came to find out there was nothing other than Jeffrey Epstein and blah, blah, blah. So maybe they said, look, she made us look like a fool. Fire her. Right? Maybe that's what happened. But even if that's what happened, I still think the MAGA fell miserably for it. They should have never done that. They should have never ran with this. They should have kind of known really what was in those Epstein files. Come on, let's be fair. Let's not act like they don't have sources within. So let's go to CNN as they have reacted to the firing of Comey's daughter as prosecutor of Epstein. Let's go and react to this one.
Being a Democratic hoax doesn't seem to hold a lot of water tonight, even with his own supporters.
Well, what seems to be, look, that Truth Social post that he did this morning was extremely confusing, and it's very clear what he is trying to suggest. Backfill this essentially, that anybody who raises questions about this now that it was some kind of a setup by Democrats or by Obama, even though Jeffrey Epstein or Joe Biden, even though Jeffrey Epstein died in jail when Donald Trump was president last time. I mean, there's a reason that you are seeing people like Mike Flynn say this just doesn't make sense. It simply doesn't. You are correct that, a decade ago, President Trump was more than happy to raise questions of guilt by association for the Clintons. This was something that his advisors talked about, that his allies talked about. Has he talked about Jeffrey Epstein as much in the interregnum period between his two presidencies as some of his top advisors have? No, but he has populated his administration with people who really made names talking about this. And to now say it doesn't matter, you are seeing an emboldened Congress to some extent calling him out for saying these things.
I wonder what you make of that, because one thing he has made clear is he wants people to stop talking about this. He wants this to stop being a story. And you're seeing the right-wing influencers that he's calling, or like some of his most ardent members in Congress, most ardent supporters, say they still want to hear more. I wonder what you make of that when typically they fall in line with what he says.
I think there's a couple of things at play, Caitlin. I mean, I think one is, he is a lame duck. I mean, part of why he has tried to hold on to his party so tightly since he took office again was to get things done. He saw what happened in term one when members of his own party were rising against him on various fronts, and so he wanted to pass, the one big beautiful bill, and there were other pieces, there were other things he wanted to accomplish, and generally he has scared members of his party into not speaking out if they were upset with it, or people supported what he was doing. Now you're seeing things like Tom Tillis, who you just played a quote from North Carolina. He's not running again, and so he clearly feels emboldened to speak out. Marjorie Taylor Greene has been speaking out more and more. You may see others. I think time will tell, but it is definitely a notable shift since he came back.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to Trump trying to move off the story, I want you to listen to what he said in the Oval Office, where he himself was basically trying to say it's time to move on from this.
I call it the Epstein hoax. It takes a lot of time and effort. Instead of talking about the great achievements we've had, instead of talking about the things we've achieved, we've had tremendous achievement. The scandal you should be talking about is the auto pen, the things that they should be talking about. The big, beautiful bill is one of the greatest pieces of legislation ever in this country. All these things that happened that wouldn't have happened if you had good leadership. And that's what you should be talking about.
All right. So Donald Trump doesn't want people to talk about this anymore, clearly. And of course, but the problem is in this situation is that they are given, he and his cabinet are given the Democrats, the left, CNN included, the ammunition to do this. Because if it creates a big uproar and you took a decision not to release the files, so it created a big uproar, and you still, instead of saying, all right, whatever, here's the files, there's nothing but whatever, have at it, and then we'll move on to the next topic. And then they have no reason to keep talking about it if there's indeed nothing to be talked about. It certainly looks suspicious. So I am a centrist here. Now, a lot of times my opinion has shifted towards the right because in a lot of ways the left has been really diabolical when it comes to certain takes and really extreme. But in this situation, you have to call it for what it is. And Trump and his administration failed on this situation, whatever situation, whatever was the reason as to why they haven't released the files, whether they fell for a hoax and they look like fools and now they fired Comey's daughter, or whether they are hiding the fact that Jeffrey Epstein was an agent, a secret agent, or whether indeed some people involved in this administration are in this list, if it exists. Regardless, they have failed at this, and they have to admit that. Whether they want to admit it or not, it is happening. So they're going to give them the ammunition. If they continue to do this, they're going to give the left the ammunition to keep going and keep coming at this administration. It is unfortunate, but they are doing it. They are doing it. So let's move away from the Epstein files and let's go to what's happening with immigration for a second. U.S. military is now being ordered to remove 2,000 National Guard troops from Los Angeles. As we know, the riots and all of that. Trump deployed, I think, over 4,000 troops, including Marines, and now they're sending back home 2,000 National Guardsmen back to their units, back to their homes. Obviously, National Guard is part-time military. So the talking points here are U.S. President Donald Trump deployed about 4,000 California National Guard troops to Los Angeles to address the protests against immigration raids, according to the Pentagon spokesman Sean Purnell. The U.S. military will remove 2,000 National Guardsmen from Los Angeles, leaving 2,000 troops around 700 Marines, which, I mean, troops and Marines, they're all the same thing, so I don't know what. So I guess 2,700 military members are still going to be deployed to address potential threats. And tactically and slowly, they're going to be removed, obviously, and that's the way it goes. You can't just take everybody out. Although Gavin Newsom clearly has an issue with this whole situation, right? He always going to have an issue with this because of his government really has not been up to par, and it's unfortunate. But all they do is go against Trump, and it is unfortunate, but it doesn't even help their cause anyway. Now, something that I will criticize on these raids, on these arrests, on these whatever you want to call them, is that they are also arresting citizens, and you can't do that. You cannot do that. I think everybody, first of all, I don't know the specifics of this current situation, but the fact of the matter is that U.S. citizen was detained by ICE. Clearly, it didn't matter that he was a citizen or a veteran, they say. I don't know. It doesn't look like a veteran, but all right. To each their own. Maybe served a year or something. Where he identified who he was, they ignored everything he said, according to this, and they just broke his window and they dragged him out. I let him know I was a veteran and I wasn't doing anything wrong. That I'm just trying to get to work. Now, you tell me if that looks like a veteran. But maybe I'm just being too cynical about this whole situation. But let's take a watch at what this young man went through, I guess.
Will you first tell me just what it was like the moment when you realized what was happening at this farm? You work for a third-party contractor, you're security guard at this farm. And just describe, did you realize when all these folks roll up that was ICE?
My first thoughts were in shock. I was in disbelief that all this was happen. Honestly, I thought it wouldn't be a problem to go to work as long as I did nothing wrong, as long as I identified myself, who I was, and clearly it didn't matter if I was a citizen or if I was a veteran or if I identified who I was at all. It didn't matter to them.
Tell me about the moment when you're in your car amongst this chaos, when you actually get apprehended by ICE, and what you said to them.
When I was getting apprehended, then they were banging on my window to leave or to get out. There was multiple officers telling me to do different things. Some were telling me to keep reversing. Some were banging on my windshield to get out. And I was trying to tell them, I'm leaving. I'm leaving. I'll get out of here. I don't want any problems. I'm trying to reverse. I can't breathe because of the tear gas in my car. I can't reverse. I can't continue to reverse while there's protesters behind me. And you guys are banging on my window and just surrounding my car. And they didn't care. They continued to bang. They ignored everything I said. And they broke my window and they dragged me out.
All right. We're going to pause that one there. So, look, first of all, let's be fair, if we're going to go in this world acting like looks or can be deceiving, and that's part of life. It is. And listen, this guy doesn't look like a veteran. How long was he a veteran? For a year or two? A veteran is a veteran in all respects. But if I'm in an area where there are aliens and illegal immigrants, well, listen, they're going to detain me. They're going to ask me questions, and when I prove what I'm saying, then I get to go on my merry day. So obviously, MSNBC is going to put this American Army veteran violently detained by ICE, and that's going to create commotion. But we have to be honest about things, and I will certainly do that. Although, if he's in an area where there's illegals, well, then he's going to be questioned. He's going to be detained. I also had to tell ICE members and criticize them because it's not the first time. They also shot a reporter not too long ago when the riots were going on. Clearly shot a reporter blatantly with the rubber bullet right in the leg. So then you start tightening these things up. And if they don't do it, then they need to be fired, plain and simple, or suspended. It's plain and simple. Stop letting these people create stories, and that's that. To be honest, more than now in this situation, I don't know. But Gavin Newsom, of course, had a lot to say about Mr. Trump once again. Let's go.
This is about families. It's about community. It's about the sense of place. It's about our economy. And it's about time Donald Trump grow up, understand the hell he is doing. This is about families.
All right, there you go. So it's about families, about community. Basically, he said a lot of nothing. He needs to grow up, he says, Donald Trump. Well, listen, Gavin Newsom is not necessarily a manager that everybody likes in California. And he's, listen, he can say whatever he wants, but the vast majority of people voted for illegal immigrants to leave. I've voiced my opinion many times that some are good, benefit the country, and they should be allowed to get some type of amnesty. I've said that a million times, and I'm going to continue to say it. I think they help the country. And if you're a legal, sober, moral, and prudent person, and you're illegal, well, we can probably facilitate something where you maybe are in a probation period, maybe are monitored well, and go about and go, and obviously secure the border. We've done that. We closed the border, and nobody else is coming in. So we've done that, and we go about our way. But obviously the criminals need to go. And listen, if those people that you put in that probation period, if they commit one single crime, and I'm talking about from getting caught with drugs or being drunk and being pulled over for it, any violation like that, then they violate that probation, and they need to be deported effective immediately. You got to do that. You have to keep an open mind. You can't just say illegal. The Charlie Kirk and everybody else, illegals out. Send them out. But you can't do that really. So you can't do that. You're not going to do that because God knows how many illegals there are in America. Some people say 10 million, 20 million, 30 million, 50 million. I've heard 80 million. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. You're going to have to give some of these people probation. And by the way, seeking asylum is not illegal. That's a very legal thing. Whether you like to admit it or not, whether you are MAGA, you're left, centrist, whatever you want to call it, seeking asylum is real. And those people need to be protected and respected. Again, the one single time they commit a crime, they got to go. Criminals now, they got to go. From the smallest to the biggest crime. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. If Trump does that, trust me, in the midterms he's going to do well, and people are going to be really happy with the situation. You got to keep people happy, man. Now again, you can't ask for no deportations. That's not going to happen simply because people voted for deportations, and mainly the criminals that were killing people, raping and killing innocent people, women, children, and terrorizing people. So let's go to Fox News here and go to a video says illegal aliens are getting a ticket out of America under this administration, according to Stephen Miller. So let's go right now with that. Let's go.
Deputy Chief of Staff for Policy and Homeland Security Advisor Stephen Miller. Is there an internment camp in the Everglades, Miller?
There is an ICE facility that provides a far superior level of housing and accommodation than is available to millions of Americans who are living in Section 8 housing and other low-income areas of our own blighted cities, like Baltimore, like Detroit, like Chicago. How many Americans are living in abominable conditions compared to the pristine conditions of our ICE facilities and our Border Patrol facilities? Look, at every turn, illegal aliens have always been treated better than Americans. The difference is, in this administration, they're getting a ticket out of America so that we can take care of our own people. Do you have any idea how many resources will be opened up for Americans when the illegals are gone? No more waiting in line at an emergency room? No more massive traffic in Los Angeles? Your health insurance premiums go down? Your public school classroom size shrink dramatically. They have more time to educate every student. You won't have to compete for public benefits. If you're down on your luck, you're having a hard time, and you do need to get support from the government, you're not going to be in line behind millions of illegal aliens from the third world. This is going to be such a gift to the quality of life of everyday Americans, Jesse. It's hard to even express the wonders that await for working people.
Well, I mean, you had me at no traffic in LA. If you guys can get that message.
I don't know what's happening here.
Broadcast loud and clear over there. I mean, I think you'll have a lot of those people in LA saying adios themselves. When you're hearing stories, Miller, about people self-deporting, what do we know about how many people have decided to just pack up and leave themselves?
Well, based on the labor force data, so as you know, under the Biden administration, all job growth on net since Biden came into office went to foreigners, e.g., they went to the migrants. Under Trump, all job gains have gone to Americans. Looking at labor force data, we believe there's already been 1 million self-deportations. Wow. So we are well on our way here. If we stay the course, Jesse, and if illegal aliens understand the consequences of staying versus the opportunities of leaving, we're going to see millions and millions more self-deportations. Because if you stay, here's the consequences. You face sudden arrest, sudden deportation, you face the potential garnishment of all of your income, all of your wages, the loss of your property, incarceration and imprisonment for immigration and other crimes. If you choose to self-deport, you can go back home. You do have the opportunity to apply for legal entry if you wish to do so in the future, and you're going to get a $1,000 check on your way out. So this is a very clear choice, and we're seeing over 1 million legal aliens are clearly choosing just to go back to their countries. But look, at the end of the day, what this really comes down to is this, Jesse. Who lives in your country determines what your country is, right? Haiti doesn't work as a country. Like, it just doesn't. People have tried forever. People have spent billions of dollars trying to make Haiti work as a project. Haiti doesn't work. If you take Haiti and you move it to America, it's not going to work here. Somalia doesn't work as a country, has never worked as a country. You take Somalia out of Somalia, you put it here, it's not going to work any better. It's not about how you feel about an individual immigrant. It's about the policy at a systemic scale. If you move the third world to the first world, eventually we become the third world. And that's not good for us. It's not good for anybody who wants to live here in the future.
All right.
Well, that is a fact. I mean, you can't disagree with that. I mean, you know, it is a part of it, and it's the truth of it. Now, this is a touchy subject. You got to have humanity. This whole situation where, you know, they're laughing and I'm not agreeing with that. So I think you got to have a little more humanity, a little more heart. Now, on the illegal immigrants that came here to seek a better future. Now, the illegal criminals and the people that want to make this country their country, the communists, the Islamists, all those people need to be obviously not be here. Now, when it comes to Islamists and extremists, well, we shall get into that in just a bit. Now, Bill O'Reilly is, quickly before we do that, is going to expose NBC News detention center dishonesty. Let us watch that. Let us assess that afterwards and see what he has to say.
NBC News. So, look, I know that I've been way too repetitive on the media, but it has declined in such a dramatic way. So they do a report on illegal aliens, undocumented migrants, whatever you want to use, being held in detention centers around the country. The crux of the report is that they're being abused. The migrants are being abused by the Trump administration. Here is a full screen. This isn't a television report. This is on their website, NBC News website. Quote, immigrants being held in immigration customs enforcement detention centers in at least 7 states are complaining of hunger, food shortages, spoiled food, detainees and immigrants advocates say. They say some detainees have gotten sick. Others have lost weight. In one facility, an incident involving detainees reportedly broke out because of food, unquote. Okay. Now, ICE immediately, same day, this came out July 14th, yesterday, okay, issued this statement, quote, fake news. Any claim there is a lack of food or subprime conditions at ICE detention centers are false. All detainees are provided with proper meals, medical treatment, have opportunities to communicate with their family members and lawyers. Meals are certified by dietitians. Ensuring the safety, security, and well-being of individuals in our custody is a top priority at ICE. Okay, so we decided to find out who's telling the truth, NBC News or the Homeland Security Department. Here's what we found out. Number one, most of the sources NBC News used are anonymous, which means you can't bank on it. If they're afraid to put names on it, you can't believe it. They do have 3 prominent names in their report. First one is Alfredo Calderon, okay? He has been detained for a year. He's a Salvadoran. So you got to figure Alfredo doesn't like being detained, right? Okay. Number 2, Jennifer Norris. She's an attorney at the Immigrant Defenders Law Center. What's that? Far left group, open border group. Jennifer wants everybody in, nobody held. Third, Vanessa Torres, okay? She's a lawyer for the American Immigration Lawyers Association, another far-left group. So what NBC News did is it stacked anonymous sources, you don't know who they are, and far-left people who want open borders and everybody in. That was the basis of their entire article. Is this unusual? No. The reporters went out. They wanted an article to say there's bad food and conditions at the ICE detention centers. And it's easy to get that. And that's what they did. Thank you for watching.
All right, so there you go. That was what Bill O'Reilly came up with. And listen, there's no surprise that the media is in decline and these networks are suffering. And that's why these independent shows like these tend to do somewhat well. Obviously, we're just getting started. So help out, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and we can move forward. Now, let me know what you think about this nice report that Bill O'Reilly came up with. And let's go with Zohran Mamdani. So he's now made, we found a clip of him that says that he would support the abolition of private property if it meant immigrants had housing. Can you believe that? Well, it is true. Let's watch it.
My platform is that every single person should have housing. And I think faced with these two options, the system has hundreds of thousands of people unhoused, right? For what? And if there was any system that could guarantee each person housing, whether you call it the abolition of private property or you call it, just a statewide housing guarantee, it is preferable to what is going on right now. Mm-hmm. And I think that people try and play like gotcha games about these kinds of things. And it's like, look, I care more about whether somebody has a home. My platform is that every...
So there you go. Mr. Mandani wants to get rid of private property. These talking points are very dangerous to the very existence of the United States of America. And listen, I'm not going to go on and say that he's going to be the worst ever or he's going to try. But you got to take his talking points in. If you're going to elect somebody, you got to take his talking points literally, he said what people are concerned about. That is, state-owned grocery stores. What is this? This is not good at all for the United States of America, and especially to have if its major city or one of the major cities in America be governed by a guy like this, then that's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. On the Western side of things, this is a Christian, vast majority founded by Christians. They believe in God, they believe in Jesus Christ. And as long as we keep that out of there, because it wouldn't be right either to just say, okay, let Christian, a theocracy of Christianism govern the United States. That wouldn't be good either, because it goes against everything that a free country would have. So we certainly wouldn't allow that, and we definitely shouldn't allow Islamists to do the same thing. That can't condemn the Intifada. That said that they would arrest Israel's prime minister if he came to New York City. Those are not talking points by somebody that's sane and moral and prudent. Those are talking points by someone that is an extremist, and you have to take him literal. Now, Andrew Cuomo is going to jump in the race as an independent, I believe, but I don't think he's going to do much about it, to be honest. And I think that Mandami will probably be the the mayor of New York City. As shocking as that is, but that's what we've come to, ladies and gentlemen. That's what we've come to. And the Republican nominee, I don't know if he's going to get any votes. And definitely Adams is, I don't know with Adams. It's yin or yang. But Mandami is, I think, his ideology is very much, it's tough. I don't know. I don't know what you think about it. Let me know in the comment section down below. We're done with this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and support us, help us grow. We'll see you all on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.